Hi everyone, back again. Now, today I want to tell you something about, have you ever wondered why people teach you the wrong things intentionally? Not bad people, but actually good people, educators, people you trust, your friends, your families, your teachers, yeah. Now, there's actually a pretty simple yet important reason to that. The real world, as we know it, is too complicated. If we are to explain even the most simplest of phenomena, like for example, the reason why you would like someone, there are multiple reasons to that, It can be because they're pretty, it can be because you enjoy their personality, it can be because they saved you before from a dangerous situation. If you're curious about that, it's called the suspension bridge effect. It can also be about Stockholm syndrome, Yeah, they were bad to you or they captured you, but then suddenly you develop a bond, with them. There are multiple reasons to explain even the simplest of action if we talk about the real world. So here are what philosophers or basically smart people from a long time ago did in order to teach people or students or their friends a little more easily. What they did is quite simple. They tried to take out the variables. Variables are basically factors that you need to consider in order to think about something. So for example, if you use the same case, liking someone, try to take out their economic background. Try to take out that they have saved you before. Try to set the setting that you meet them in a bar maybe, or in school if you're still, studying. But basically, they try to get rid of every particular type of situation or any factors that can, change your opinion, and they simplify that. The simplification is quite, varied. In fact, if we talk about the subject that I'm teaching, English, you might see it when we talk about the future tense. Because a little fun fact for everyone, the future tense does not exist.
Huh?
It's not the future tense, it's model. It's a model will, So but the more common or easily comprehended case of this happening in real life would be physics. For example, in high school, if you learn about speed, what is speed? Speed would be defined as distance divided by time. But if you go to a higher level, for example, it used to be taught in high school, but I remember in Indonesia at least, they kind of started doing it, in certain schools, despite being high school, this should have been a Bachelor of Physics material to my knowledge. And then they will teach you about momentum. Oh no, speed is actually distance divided by time, and then you need to calculate momentum. And then if you go higher to the knowledge, they would say, oh no, you also need to calculate friction. And then when it gets even higher, they'll say, oh no, you need to calculate gravity. So the simple formula of speed is distance equal time is wrong. And everyone knows it's wrong, at least educators, people who are experts of the field. But they use it as a sort of entry-level knowledge that most people would be able to easily comprehend. When they are more comfortable, when they are more into the subject, then you can tell them the truth. Hey, actually, do you remember what I taught you a couple of years back? Yeah, that was a lie. The same applies with English, For example, for most of my students, you would have known that I taught you auxiliary verbs before, which are basically the verbs that act as time addition. They tell you about the time. We have the do verb, the be verb, as well as the have verb. Don't forget, they also have other jobs besides being auxiliary verbs. Now, the funny thing is, if you go to the if you go to the future tenses, you'll meet the verb will. Now, will, it's a model. It's not an auxiliary verb for tense, it's a model. It has friends, would, can, could, should, might. If you pay attention, if you compare how you use will and how you use these other modal verbs, you'll notice some similarities. Because it is a model. It's not a future tense. It's not an auxiliary verb just like do, be, and have. It's actually a model. In English, we call that the false tense. Although, again, it'll be too complicated if teachers teach that in class. So they just call it the future tense instead, and call it a day. I do the same thing, especially if you're still beginning in the class. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little bit of fun fact. Reality is extremely complicated. There are various factors involved. That's why, in order to make things more digestible, in order to help people comprehend something, most experts would do what we call simplification. Some would take things a little too far, some would take things a little too shallow. Nevertheless, it's always a dilemma, for teacher, educator, researcher to try to explain complex realities. Because again, you need to simplify things to make it communicative, but oversimplification risks making things incomprehensible. In contrast, little to no simplification basically just doesn't explain anything. So yeah, that's why actually there's a little quote I want to bring up in the back, just popped into my head just now. There's an idiom, a master of none. Jack of all trade, a master of none. Most people know this word or this idiom, and they would say, oh yeah, that idiom is pretty nice, and they would use it to justify why they should only learn one thing. But there's actually something going on which is longer, which actually correlates back to what I'm saying today, the complex nature of the world, the multidisciplinary nature of the world. The long version of that quote would be, Jack of all trade, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. So it's basically saying, a master of one is good, but if you know multiple stuff, you can do things in more comprehensively. You can survive by yourself. You can look at things through multiple lenses, and that would often help you better. Because again, reality is complicated. Nevertheless, if it's your first time beginning, and any lessons that you are currently doing, if you're my students, probably English, or maybe some of you are learning to do speeches, or word conversation, or IELTS maybe. Same thing. I'll be giving you some simplified version, and after you get good, I'll slowly litter down the real complexities going on. So that's about it. A little bit about why teachers intentionally teach you the wrong things. Not just teachers, everyone in fact. So I'll see you again later. Bye.